Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode here on Vibe Coding, a cozy to do list app building a personal life dashboard with React, Supabase, and AI. This is episode 2. Welcome back. We are blessed by Stream Beats today by Harris Heller. And remember that beautiful to-do app that we were building last time? Yeah, about that. I opened up my laptop this morning, storing everything in my local storage browser, and guess what happened? My tasks were missing. Oh no, I built an app and it didn't hold my data anymore. Darn, something happened. And I'm not surprised. I mean, we spent all of 3 prompts building what we had so far, but I got a sinking feeling, you know what I'm saying? When you realize you built something and you thought it was really cozy and working perfectly like you expected, but then lo and behold, something goes wrong. Now we're in classic developer mode. When we iterate and we iterate quick, we ship code fast. Sometimes there's bugs, sometimes things go missing. And that certainly was the case here. I didn't get what I wanted all the way, but that's okay. We found out about the issue, and now we're going to solve it. And you might be asking yourself, what are you talking about? Well, here, let's go ahead and get our app back on screen here. If you saw our last episode, you'll remember that we have our new app, Cozy Tasks. Now, last episode when we were going through this, let's go ahead and pull this in. This is part 1. And you can see in part 1 that we ended up with something similar to this, where we had an avatar, we had daily habits that we were tracking, and tasks. And you can see that when I checked a task off, there's a little celebration. Look, I was celebrating there. Holding my trophy proudly high. And we went through all this work to set up our app, and we got a few things in here, but it all came crashing down for me when I loaded it today, and I was greeted with this sad, empty task list. I was wondering, where did I go wrong? So yeah, I knew exactly where I was heading with this. It was just storage locally in the browser, and through some caching purge or clearing of that information, it just wasn't there anymore. So we had to bring it back. No big deal. And that's what we ended up doing. We brought it back here, and actually we did what I talked a little bit about last time, which was to connect it to Supabase. So we spent some time connecting it to Supabase, and I believe we have no more disappearing data. Now you'll see on the screen here, we have a sign into sync. This was added through an effort to connect this to Supabase for a database in the back. And now the nice thing about it was that this was largely handled by Claude, and I'll bring the items onto the screen here in just a moment. And so this way, when I make those habits are going to stick. When I create those tasks are going to stick. So I'm very much more excited about that. We're also going to be working on some other things today, including going through the Supabase connection. I also want to add some background elements so it can feel more like a farm or forest or cabin, something kind of cozy. And I want to be able to schedule my tasks as well, because as you notice, when I say I'm going to journal and do it every day, and it doesn't, if I say I did it, well, here it sits, it's complete, but I'm not really sure if it's going to show up tomorrow. If I refresh, it's still kind of there. And so I'm not seeing this task in the future. And I think I'd like it to be having like due dates. That way, when I do something as well, like say I'm going to clean the car, and maybe make that a weekly habit, that I would be able to see how much time I actually have around that. So we're going to be updating those habits, making them actually useful, adding some visual polish as well, because productivity should feel good. And finally, laying the groundwork for the calendar view. So by the end of this episode, which is probably going to take about 45 minutes to an hour, you'll have an app that not only looks cozy, but actually remembers your data, plus all those little quality of life improvements that turn a demo into something you actually like to use every day. So ready to make our cozy do app grow up a little bit? Let's fix my data problems, upgrade those habits, and add some sparkle. Let's dive in. All right, let's take a look actually what we went through here. Yes, or actually earlier before I got into this a little bit, I wanted to work through a little bit of these issues before the show so we could kind of queue up a lot of this ahead of time and not have to work through all the muck sometimes that is Claude. And so I'm going to find where we started this. I think it's going to be around here. Yeah, we ran Claude. And let me see, can I make this a little bit larger? Yes, we can. Let's do that. I think that was one thing I noticed from the first stream that I wanted to do a little bit differently. All right, let's go actually go back to there. That might just have to do. It looks like I actually lost the top when I started doing that. Stuck in this file. Let's scroll again. Okay, here we go. Now it's scrolling. It's going through all these file changes. Can I go through this a little quicker, please? Yes, I can. All right, so it made obviously a lot of file changes. When I was going through this originally, I had specified, told it about my challenges with the implementation. Here is a summary that it did. Oh, it moved me again. Let's scroll back down here. Sorry, just one second. So it added a Supabase connection, and it also added, and it asked me, it prompted me if I wanted to do a magic link for sign in or if I wanted to go with a password, and it actually asked it to do both in that situation. And here's the plan. I'm gonna try to keep it focused around here and scroll slowly. So it did do the magic link authentication, email and password authentication as well. There's the task sync with changes. The avatar settings are also syncing as well. There's offline support with Operation Queue. I haven't actually tested that yet. Local storage migration to first login. I haven't fully tested that either. And optimistic updates for all operations. So ran some SQL, did some updates, and went through the testing, and it looked good. And so now we're going to run it. And right now we're running it locally. Here's what it looks like so far. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and test out our functionality. So when we did this sign into sync, this is one prompt, by the way, that's happened to this point. Get the magic link, which we'll go ahead and let me actually just save my LastPass for this site. Just 1 second here. Where did that go? Oh, here it is. Great. All right. And it says sign into sync, so we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. Put on my email. Sending the email over, so grab the link and then we'll go back in once I'm logged in. All right, we are logged back in. Let's go ahead and take a look. So here we are. We're logged in. I can see this green icon saying that we're synced. There's a sign out link. And this is the task that I did leave in there, which was around journaling. And let's go ahead and add a couple of other things that, I want to do. I want to clean the car on a weekly basis. Again, we're just going to do these things to test that it's accepting these changes. And let's go ahead and update our avatar. This does look a little bit different than what I had last time. So I'll have to make sure that the persistence is applying there as well. And let's go ahead and do a task, which let's go ahead and just say we're going to clean our desk. Oh, I just realized I typed clean car. All right, let's go ahead and remove that and put it back in. Oh, I did mistype it again. Clean car. Here we go. And we do that on a weekly basis. So here's our cozy app. And then if we check things off, we get the celebration. Great, as we expect, our avatar is celebrating. I can uncheck it. That seems to work as well. So we've already got the Supabase. And actually, let's talk about this tech stack here real quick and go through a few of these things that just happened. And this stuff actually happened in about a half hour, 45 minutes before I worked through some of these things. So today, we put in Supabase. Most of the setup was done. All the authentication, the emails are being sent from it. We're storing tasks now in the cloud. And that way I could get access to this. Once I deployed onto a production server, in theory, I could then access that data and that app from any device, and have cross-device compatibility. So now we need better habit logic. Daily habits should reset daily. Week ones should be track which day is due. So those are some of the things that we want to get into there. So maybe adding due dates would be a good piece to have in here, so that way it's kind of clear on when the next activity is due, and that way I could kind of see what do I have coming up that I have to account for. Now we want to make sure that things are going to remain cozy, because that's at the very basis of all of this. We want to make sure that we're always grounded in that. And because now we have the Supabase client installed, it's going to be really simple to roll out a lot of these updates and even input data and do testing in real time right out of the box. So very excited about that. Plus, having the authentication built in, we can use magic links or social logins, whatever we might want to do in the future on that. So let's go ahead and start with our prompts here to update our app based on some of these updates that we want to put in here. All right, so we're going to bring our prompt tool back in. I'm going to give it a couple of clicks here to zoom up. All right, and let's go ahead and describe the first update that we want to have here. For tasks and habits, add a due date option so that we can track when something is due, flag it as overdue when the date has passed. Also bring it a notice if the due date is today. Overdue should be like a red flag. Due today should be a yellow flag. All right, I wonder, actually, let's try to make it more cozy. Red flag's a little too much. What would be a really good, cozy Stardew Valley, maybe like forest or lake themed iconography that doesn't feel too obtrusive and can still be fun, but also point to the fact that things are overdue. So have some fun with it. On the iconography there, allow me to set a date for these things and make it really simple to change the date. You should also use like a date widget or pop-up of some type that would allow me to either type the date or select the date from a window. For habits that are daily they should be, they should be shown as due today. And once it's completed, it should show as completed, but then also note that it's next due tomorrow because it's a habit. And maybe you could add some more shading to, draw less attention, right, to these items, perhaps even hide completed items. When the day resets or cuts over to the following day, these habits also need to recreate. So if that's not happening automatically, then that needs to happen. I have not tested that. The same goes for weekly tasks. If it's weekly, then we need to know what day of the week this task is needing to be due by, so that we can set that as well. And then if it's monthly, we need to know if it's monthly based on like what day of the week or day of the month is it due monthly on. All right, so we're gonna let this cook with that prompt. Let's see what we get. We've been using Claude naturally as a thinking partner quite a bit. And for some, especially those with coding experience, you may be looking at this and saying, well, what about the code? And what does that look like? Totally get where you're at with that. We haven't forgotten about that at all. We definitely want to dig into it. When we're reviewing already written code, we are going to focus on the why and not necessarily the what. And certainly there'll be likely some natural frustrations when we go through some of these things and things might not work as expected. It's totally relatable. It's not just for code generation. We're going to go ahead and look at how it can be incorporated into our testing and also build in better architectural best practices for iterations going forward. But since we're keeping things kind of light, fun, and cozy, we're just going to make things really simple and try to go for a high visual reward for a lot of this stuff, because usually that's what we are motivated by, even though it's not always practical. So we're going to celebrate the small wins throughout. Each successful database operation, each successful new feature will be considered a victory, especially after losing all that data that I lost today. while these things are being synced, well, I'll go ahead and spend just a little time here while it's building all this functionality to actually add all the rest of the tasks I want to add in here. For example, I always like to make sure that my correspondence are handled on a daily basis, like my mail, my email. We're going to practice our language, second languages particularly. Let's just call it Spanish. Spanish practice. Practicar nuestro español. Vámonos, la gente, la raza, arriba. And we're going to make this a daily habit as well. And you always got to get some physical activity in, right? Let's go ahead and make this a daily activity. I have a share password tool with my wife. That's a one-time activity. There is a expense I need to move. For the Xbox Pass, particularly. We're gonna add that. Oh yeah, car windows programming fix. That's a one-time activity. And I'm gonna get my tires rotated. Add. Now it is adding down here. I do feel like I want to see something kind of visually happen interesting here when adding. That way it's a little more in front of me. Also, I need to be able to rename tasks, perhaps. Right now, not being able to rename it, it's kind of silly. All right, we're getting some options back here from Claude. It's asking, which cozy icons do you prefer for overdue tasks? Fallen leaves, or the sleepy owl, or the rain clouds? I think fallen leaves, I like that. Actually, the passing of time, it's kind of the, when the seasons are turning. So we're gonna do that. Due today, sunrise, blooming flower, morning sun. What do you think, chat? I think the sunrise. I like that one. For a completed task, waiting for the next period, which is resting icon, crescent moon, the Z's, or the resting leaf. I like the resting leaf so much. I think those are good. I like that it asked me actually for the icons there, and I got to see them. Oh, look at this. This game I've been working on just showed up on screen. And I believe, ooh, look at this. Okay, hold on a second. Oh, wow, it's moving. So I've been working on this game to help visualize the fixing of funnels. Oh my gosh, and people falling out of funnels. And so the concept is you get leads from a source, right? And they need to get to the destination within a certain amount of time. Each lead only has so much patience. Now look, that one faded out. And there might be nothing I can do to other than maybe go faster. But this is just like how pipelines work. Like some are gonna get there, some are delivered. Most are getting lost beforehand. And kind of seems like the game right now is programmed unfavorably because it's not enough time actually to get from end to end. Look at this one. This one came at 28 seconds. Let's follow it and track. It started at 28 seconds. So even to get there, it took 8 seconds start to end. And so it probably needs to be closer to that. But some good things to see here is that we are seeing the time decay when things fall out of the funnel. That's good too. And these are now counted as leaked, which they don't stay as leaked. They kind of go leaked and then move to lost. Deliver, lost, recovered. That's fun. Efficiency, 14%. Well, that's kind of interesting. It actually kept the, oh no. There we go. No, see, those are lost. These ones, they won't hit there. So we're going to have to tell the prompt I know we're now introducing another thing, in which I'll probably do when we're cooking on this Cozy app. I might go into game mode and actually play around with this game and even show you some of the prompts I'm running for that, because pretty soon this is actually going to show up on our website. We're going to be adding games to MediaGarcia.com's website, particularly games that are going to resonate with businesses, business owners, leaders of those companies. And in this case, right, it's like a funnel. So we're trying to show funnel dynamics, leakage, lost, won. And we're going to be introducing different elements of friction or chaos even, right, into this funnel, so that you get the sense of what it's like, really to work with, to be a bit, be running oftentimes these marketing ops, sales ops, rev ops, and the challenges and the points of friction that show up in these, right? And our clients, our customers are, they only have so much patience or time, or acceptance to some of these things, right? And so they're going through this customer journey here in a certain way, right? And then that because of that, you get a certain outcome, right? So that's how it goes. It's funny that there were still some things on the screen as it was moving through. I don't know about that. So there's definitely some things to fine tune, but let's go back to Cozy Tasks. We have a nice plan here. Let's review the plan. If there's anything about using plans, especially with Claude Code, it's like, you want to make sure you have a really good plan, and then you're fine tuning the plan beforehand. So it's describing the SQL it's going to make, it's describing the different edge functions it's making as well. The date picker feature functionality, the habit schedule selector for weekly and monthly. It doesn't describe daily, but I'm assuming it's just going to do the date picker for that. We talked about these different status badges, which all look fine. Some different styling additions. It looks like it has an implementation order, which is going to involve data updates, adding helpers, creating the badge display, date picker, monthly pattern, and it's going to go through a series of verifications. This looks pretty good to me. Again, it's a pretty low stakes app for me. So, if I was building maybe a product for a client or on our more like production apps, I might refine some of this and actually dig through the details, add more, clarify more where needed. But for the purposes of our demonstration, just to keep things light and moving forward, we're going to run with what it has. And it's also kind of fun to see if it can one-shot it from an example, right? If it do what we need. Okay, so, oh wow, look at that. We've reached 90% of our session limit, and it resets in an hour and 45 minutes. That's awesome, you guys. We really are we really cooked today. We really cooked. And right now, I think I'm on the max 100 plan. I did downgrade for a moment. I was at the higher plan, the max 200. I actually had a project that needed a lot of work, and it did it amazingly. Now, the reason why we probably maxed it out so quickly, it wasn't just from these Cozy tasks that we were doing. I've actually been with some of the pre-work with setting the Supabase instance. I've also been making this game, And I've been creating other tools with the business over the last 5 hours. So not surprised that I'm encroaching on that 5 hour limit here. Might have to switch into some video games here pretty soon. And good thing we're at 32 minutes in here. That leaves us about 30 more minutes or so on this stream to get through the rest of the stuff. So can we do that here with 10% of our limit remaining over the next hour and a half? We'll find out. But we just have a half hour, so that's going to be the key piece, and whether or not I can implement this plan. Okay, it looks like we have another update with our game. I don't know if anything changed or if it was just, okay, there it goes, it says go. Actually, I did not prompt it anything different. Some of these angles I do have to clean up, I noticed. Oh, it just refreshed on me. Must be going through some more testing. Oh, look at that. That doesn't seem to be right. It's like, oh, they're running out of time. That's why. They're running out of time too quick. Oh, that's funny. The back and forth. This is what it's like to run a business, folks. To run your department, to try to hit your goals. Oh, is it going fast? No, it's not faster that way. That one just had more time on it. We are getting a few now. Okay, and speaking of which, while we're building on this Cozy app, we can actually show some of the prompts that we're running for this game. And so it did produce 90-second rounds. There's a 5-second setup phase, which I couldn't really see right away. The bell curve of these items is 6 to 10 seconds, but I think the minimum needs to be 8 based on what we saw kind of start to finish, based on like a natural, going through this way. What else would I give feedback for this on? I would say, leaked numbers. They go down once they've leaked, and they kind of move into loss, which is, I would say, like, it'd be good to say probably like differentiate between leaked and then became like stale or something. Like they lost momentum, right? Which is they didn't get to the end in time. They expired, I think, right? So there's like leak, and then there's like expired. Like it wasn't leaking, it just didn't get through the desired pipeline in the appropriate amount of time. So I think if we modified those aspects, then we're working something a little bit more. Also, I did queue it up with quite a lot of other ideas and tasks from before, so I think there might be something to prompt around this still, around that. So let's ask that. I'll get some feedback, and then I'm going to ask it the plan. All right, some early feedback from our testing of this app. First of all, great work. This is looking very positive, and you incorporated a lot of the feedback that I gave into the plan. Here's what we need to change. 1, it takes at a minimum an item like 8 seconds to get there. So the very bottom of the bell curve should be 8 seconds. That means we should probably have the middle be around maybe 10, and then at the higher end maybe around 12 or so. And then the leaked number increases, but then it drops after something's lost. When something's leaked, and like if it's permanently leaked, keep it in the leak stats. Also, instead of lost, rename it as expired. Both of these are going to be bad things, right? It's going to tell us whether they expired, meaning they ran out of juice or momentum while they're within the workflow, or if it was leaked is because they actually fell out of the workflow and they weren't recovered. Additionally, I want you to review the plan that you created for me beforehand and suggest other features that we could incorporate into this next iteration. And we're going to run that on plan mode as well. Now, let's go back to our other one, which is still working, still cooking. Let's see what it's been doing. It looks like a couple of file changes so far. That tells me it's probably already done the data work, and now it's just doing the layout. Now it's adding the style. It says next it's going to be doing the testing. Since we're kind of waiting for both these prompts to work, let's just put them side by side. And we have a plan now from our game prompt. It's very, very thorough. It looks very, very lengthy. Bug fixes, decay timing adjustments, which is what we want. That's good. Linked count expires. Leaked equals cumulative items that fell out conveyor never decreases. Well, unless recovered. I think that might be, I think we might have to say yeah, there's like leaking and there's like leaked, like you totally leaked out of the funnel, right? What else we got? Rename loss to expired. Loss is ambiguous. Ran out of time momentum. Delivered, leaked total that fell off. Recovered, leaked, then delivered. All right. Some of this logic meaning might have to get refined a little bit. Part B says suggested features for next iteration. Obstacle systems, high impact, low complexity. Static walls that block conveyor placements, forcing creative routing. Why now? Add strategic depth without complex timing mechanics. Implementation, dark gray blocks with hatched pattern placed at level start from config. Recommended level systems, medium impact, medium complexity, multiple levels of increasing difficulty. But now build on obstacles naturally, give players progression without difficult tuning, which I do like. Consider friction zones. Meaning, ooh, that's interesting. Friction zones. Oh, I love friction zones, actually. Friction zones could be like areas on the grid that have no friction versus high friction. Ooh, that is exactly the piece that we need here. And the whole entire grid would be colored in a way that shows where the friction is or isn't. So then you would be forced to redesign your system as the points of friction shift inside your grid. It's wonderful. Slow down areas that appear mid-game. Adds dynamic challenges, creates decision points throughout. Boom, boom, boom. Random conveyor, misbehavior. I actually really like that too. Why defer? High complexity to implement as well. Okay, fine. Verification. Part A fixes. Okay, so let's see. What else does it say? Time decay, leak detection and recovery, obstacle systems, friction system, the chaos system, the timed rounds, the implementation phases. Okay, grid resize, which I thought we already did. And then future phases, obstacles, really, okay. So it doesn't even want to do the friction zones right now. We did the grid resize, update constraints with new, okay, never mind. It's gonna update it, needs to do more stuff. Game state and timer. I thought we did some of that already. I'm gonna actually ask it to clarify a couple things right here since we had already created a new grid and timer. So I'm wondering whether or not you're looking at the most up-to-date production version of our app, or perhaps the latest updates haven't been committed to prod yet. And if so, I need you to commit any changes to the prod version and then rerun this analysis based on what's on prod, because you're suggesting to do things that are already done. Additionally, I really like the idea of friction zones, And I almost picture the entire grid could have a friction zone where maybe it starts green, everywhere is green, but over time in the game, it starts to degrade. And it could start in one spot of the maze, right? In a grid, it could start in one and almost spread like a fire. So it starts and it's like yellow, right? Which means anything that going through this friction zone is going to be slowed down by some sort of exponential. And then over time, that yellow would turn orange and it would slow down more, and then it would turn to red, would actually like stop things completely. It would cause complete shutdown. And then it might even start to spread. So when something's orange, the things around it might become yellow. And then when something's red, the things around it might be orange and the things might be yellow, right? And it can even spread, right? And so then you're forced to reroute your system in smart ways as this thing is spreading throughout the system. So go ahead and it probably makes sense to just start with like one friction zone. And the friction zone probably should start close to like an existing pipeline so that it causes the user to panic in a way, right? And to adjust as needed. All right, that's a lot to provide in a revision of this, but I think what's happening here, because I saw some things here that we already did, right? And that's a red flag for me. And look, it says you're right. I love how it always you're right. I need like a sound cue for you're right. The MVP grid timer decay leaks is already done. Let me update the plan to focus only on what's actually needed to fix this, plus the spreading friction zone feature you described. Okay, so kind of weird that it like said it would do these things, but I guess it believes it's on the most recent version. So I'll let it roll for now. That's fine. Let's go back to our Cozy apps. It looks like the implementation is complete. There's a summary of these changes, and we're at 45 minutes in, folks. So we only have 15 minutes left of this iteration today. I can see high level here, and we'll test this in the browser, of course. Now look at this plan came back already pretty quickly from our game, which is describing a decay timing adjustment, which is correct. Leak metrics adjustment, which is fine. We'll see how that runs. Rename loss to expired. Yellow, orange, red slowdowns and spread, visual, and timing. That all looks pretty solid. And then it's even describing what it wants to see at the end. MVP, some file changes. These look really good. I actually want to, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to give you a little context here real quickly. Note that if something leaked and becomes recovered, count it as recovered. Don't count it as leaked. So if something leaked for just a moment, but then gets back on track, and if it becomes expired, count it as expired, right? Or if it gets if it's one, just count it as recovered, right? And so that way you could maybe not even recovered, just count it as one. So just if something was one, it's one, period, not even recovered. If something leaked, that means it leaked and it will never come back. If something expired, it means expired and it'll never come back. Oh, I got cut off by a prompt, so I have to say all that to go over again. Bummer. Hold on. All right, another one edit that we actually want from this is we don't want to track recovered. All we want to track is one. If something was one, it's one. All right, it reached the end. If something leaked, that means it leaked and it never got recovered, never came back. That's the end was leaked, right? And if something expired, it means it just expired, nothing else. All right, so we're gonna try to give it a little bit of context while it's running so we can nudge it in the direction that we want it to go in. I'm assuming it's gonna take some time cooking through that. Let's go ahead and make it a small window and check out our apps. Let's go back to Cozy Games. I believe it is hot reloaded here. Let's go ahead and give it a refresh. It says in here, if I can click on one of these, let me see what it did. Just going to confirm where this is actually running. And then let's go ahead and get rid of some of these tabs that I've accumulated here. Also notice that this delivered and leaked lost thing is hovering over. That is probably another fix I do want to take care of. Let's just prompt that real quick and let them add it into the mix. One additional tweak that we want to do: the delivered, leaked, lost, or whatever stats you come up with in the end in the upper right hand corner is covering the grid. In fact, pull out these metrics and the timer and the conveyor. They shouldn't overlay the grid at all. There should be like a margin up top that only holds these things so that it doesn't cover any of the gameplay. All right, hopefully it maintains all the context. Given a lot to work with, folks. I don't know if my avatar saved, actually. I'm just noticing that when I refreshed, it's back to this guy. I'm gonna give him an orange shirt. Oh yeah, see, I'm orange shirt, refreshed, and he's gone. Oh, we exceeded a limit. No! Tear down my face. Oh my goodness. Well, we actually really cooked through that last 10% of our limit for the hour. Impressed. Okay, and what time does that put us? That puts us at 10 minutes left at least for the show. So though we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Now, what do we take away from here? Well, oops, we hit our limit. Darn. we met our match. Sometimes we just can't break through that. Sometimes we have breakthroughs. In this case, we did have a breakthrough in terms of data prevention or data retention. We got Supabase to be our backend, and it is now holding these tasks. But we did just notice that it's not actually holding the avatar information correctly, or persistence there, right? So that's one issue. But look, we lost all our tasks at the beginning of the day. Now I have them back, and they're going to persist. At least I'm like 99% sure they are. We're always going to, test this and make sure whether or not things will work or not. And we added the magic sign-in link. We haven't tested the username and password stuff quite yet either, so that's going to be a thing that we'll have to deal with. We did introduce this fun game where we're in the midst of some updates and more things that are going to come from that. And we actually built this off the Phaser framework. So some things that we'll continue to introduce because we like having fun around here. So we're going to incorporate gaming into a lot of our things here. And we connected our Supabase. We got some habits working, some visual feedback, and some logic. We're going to add some more personality with subtle animations, customization options too. All the things that we're working on here real soon. And we're gonna do this again. Heck, we might even wait for our time to reset here at 8 p.m. and you might see us back on the clock here soon. So it resets at 8 p.m. Chicago. So we're only an hour and 15 minutes away. And there we have it, folks. Our Cozy 2 app is properly connected to the cloud, at least cloud database. No more losing tasks when the browser refreshes, which honestly was driving me absolutely crazy. So look at this. I can refresh all day long. Boom, boom, boom. And after those refreshes, my tasks are still there. And I can close this browser too, and they'll still be there too. So I got to like that. And that's the magic of having a real database that is connected to your tasks and handling these things. So let's just recap. We took it off our local storage and gave it a proper backend. Supabase is now handling all the data persistence, which means tasks are safe no matter what. We walked through an authentication flow with the magic link. More to come on the username and password approach that is happening there as well. And the real key thing about today's learning and session is that we learned where our limits are too, right? We saw what happens when we hit limits, and we're actually vibe coding multiple things at once, and it's possible. Very easy to get through those credits really quickly. We learned that losing data is a great motivator to actually build things properly from the start. Nothing's more frustrating than having to redo something that you did over and over again. That's actually the very friction that we aim to eliminate on a daily and constant basis. So we still have more work to do on these habits. Right now, they're just kind of there, being confusing, but it's okay. I got to get my daily meditation in here, make sure I understand when that's due. So the due dates are going to be coming. That is still in the works. Episode 3 is going to be packed. We're going to be adding due dates, building proper calendar view, and making those habits actually make sense. So imagine being able to schedule tasks for next Tuesday or see your whole week laid out in a very cozy, simple way. Plus, and this is the fun part, we're going to be adding some more celebration moments, maybe some confetti, different types of confetti, maybe different wild, wacky things that we want to do, right? I don't know, just something to kind of, put us in the vibe, right? Put us in the mood. And we're going full cozy mode, of course. So before you go, if you've been following along and building your own version, I want to see it. Drop a link in the comments or tag me on social media. Seriously, nothing makes me happier than seeing people actually use these tutorials and building the things that you do. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button so you don't miss the next episode. Also, leave a comment with your biggest productivity app pet peeve. What drives you crazy about existing to do apps? Your frustrations might just inspire our next feature. And the code for everything we did today will be out here soon. We're going to be releasing aspects of this information to the community so that everyone can follow along and even get up to speed on some of the stuff that we're making. So thank you so much for coding along with me today. I know we hit some bumps, we lost some data, but that's the real development. The important thing is that we push through. And now we have something better. So keep building, keep the cozy vibe alive, and I'll see you next week when we had calendars and celebrations. And until then, may all your tasks stay synced and all your habits make sense. Happy coding.